Welcome to the Burn Factory Podcast with Priest and Phoenix Rivera. Listen as the boys interview the biggest names in sports and entertainment. The Burn Factory starts now.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory Podcast. I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, Mr. Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was literally caught on fire. 50% chance of living, but through that, I started this podcast because I believe every single person out there on this planet goes through a burn moment somewhere in their life.
Yes, you heard Priest say burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in someone's life that they had to fight and get through to be where they are today. And me and Priest believe that every single person goes through these little burn moments every single day that truly get them to where they are today. But Priest, we have a very special guest in the house. A true story by making his own path. He's a football Ivy League legend at Columbia University. He played 10 seasons in the NFL, was an NFL Pro Bowler, and he worked at ESPN on the NFL Live show, was the co-host of the Sports Nation show on ESPN, and was a co-host on the Speak For Yourself show on Fox Sports 1, and now has a book called Never Shut Up, The Life and Opinions of an Unexpected Adventures of an NFL Outsider, and now has his own podcast called the More To It Podcast.
So please welcome Marcellus Wiley.
Oh, man, that's love, boy. Keep going. It felt good to hear that obituary while I'm still alive, man. Keep going.
Phoenix, repeat it one more time.
I know, seriously. Appreciate you
one more
guys,
time.
man. This is so good, brothers. Good to see you guys, man. I've been watching the podcast.
Thank
Seen
you.
a couple of them, and when I heard the story, it was obvious to me that I wanted to get in front of you guys and just talk through this because the content of your message and just how you guys are really trying to tell people how you can overcome adversity is so special and so dear to my heart. So let's have some fun. Let's talk through it, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just doing here what we love. We just love talking to people, and people have these burn moments that they just got to get through that no one knows about.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I mean, look, first of all, I don't know if everyone can see the setup here, but y'all burning through some money too. Nah, in all seriousness, this is the most top level podcast I've ever been on. And I have a jealous streak in me that motivates me, but I'm hella jealous right now looking at all these cameras. I'm like, step it up, Wiley, when you get home. This is sick.
So blessed to have all this stuff. I mean, it's just
it's
awesome.
a real team effort. Like, me and him couldn't do this by ourselves. For sure. Like, we have a whole team back there that works so hard behind the scenes, and we're so thankful for them.
Nah, for real. A real team talk. I'm talking like an NFL team. Like, it's like more people in here than you would see at the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, I love it, man. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Okay, so I have to ask, you were a bit of a genius growing up.
We coming in hot.
We coming in hot.
Yeah.
And so were you just naturally like smart, or did you have to work at it? Like, for me, like, I had a 4.0 in high school, but I had to work hard for it. Like, I wasn't naturally smart. I couldn't just be like, oh yeah, I got a test tomorrow. Like, I had to study. I had to work hard for it. So was it just easy for you?
I won't say easy. I think I made it easy on myself because I was naturally curious. I was just one of those kids. First day of school, I just wanted to run to the front of the class. I wanted to raise my hand. I wanted to know all the answers. So that made it easier, but it was always still a process, and it was always still something that was a task. I wouldn't even call myself a genius. What I am smart at is knowing what I can do, what I should do, and what I should not do. So I always start off any process by addressing the adversity. So I don't run the 100 meters. I run the 110 hurdles in my mind. I always put the hurdles in front of me and say, okay, this is what I'm going to face. So I build into any equation basically the difficulties. I think a lot of times when you start to dream of things, you almost make it a fantasy instead of reality. Now, my dreams have to become reality, so let's be real about my dream, right? Mm-hmm. I know I can't draw. And so, a lot of people say, oh my God, you can do anything in this world. No, you can't. Stop lying. I can't draw. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you can play basketball. No, I can't play basketball. I suck. Yeah. So, there are certain things I'm just like, push that to the side. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be a priority in terms of tasks. But one of the things that I knew I could do was achieve in a classroom. I knew I could get good grades. I knew I could retain information, and I knew that I was a fast kid. I don't know if I was an athlete. I just was 7 years old and faster than your uncle. You know, that's who I was. So I had a few superpowers. I felt like Batman, you know. He looks at Superman and all the other superheroes like, damn, I can't do all that.
Yeah.
But I got 3 things I can do, and I got $5 in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I just tried to make lemonade out of everything, and that was my mindset.
That's
cool.
That's
awesome. I'm totally the complete opposite of what you are. I was the person that sat in the back of the classroom hoping the teacher wouldn't call on me because I was afraid I would give the wrong answer. And not like you guys having 4.0s and 5.0s. I was like a 3.5 guy.
Oh, okay.
Couple B's, but
yeah,
I passed.
Right.
Hey, that's the goal, to pass.
Man, well, that's not the goal. That's what you achieved. The goal is to get the 4.0. See, that's the funny thing. So where I grew up, everyone would reset the paradigm, reset the goals, right? So the goals for us going to school was just pass time to get to the field, to play sports, or pass time in the classroom to actually get to a studio or become an entertainer or a rapper, right? And I was like, dude, I am in class way longer than I am on the football field. I'm in class way longer than you are when you go to the studio. I'm like, why are we wasting those 7-8 hours? So that was my driving force. It wasn't like I was a genius or smarter than anybody. I was just like, I'm not wasting my time. Let's start there. And the teacher's there for a reason. They're telling me stuff I don't know. Why not retain that? And that's kind of how the snowball started to build.
I see.
Yeah.
So on this podcast, we do use the acronym BURN. So you're kind of leading us into the first one, which is B. B stands for beginning.
Yes.
So take us back to your childhood, high school days, elementary school days. Were there any burn moments that you just had to get through that really catapulted you to where you are today?
Man, so many. How long is the podcast? How long are we going today?
As long as it needs to be.
Oh, man. Call me Dante because I grew up in an inferno, brother. It was just hot. So many burn moments. My beginnings, from Compton, California, raised there to the age of 5 or 6. Then we moved to greener pastures, South Central LA. So obviously knowing the ills of both of those communities, the gangs, the drugs, the poverty, I think that was the reputation. And I think it was a real reputation. It was deserving because that was a lot of the problems in the neighborhood growing up. I had to navigate. Before I even got to class, I had to navigate. And leaving school, I had to navigate around a lot of drama. But I think the most damaging and damning thing was the low ambition. I just saw so many people aiming lower than I thought that they should. I saw people who had jobs, not careers. I saw people who living on the edge emotionally because they were so distraught, so like beaten down by the world and by their neighborhood. Their greatest aspirations and ambitions have been challenged to a point where they gave up on themselves, it felt like. So I would do these sociology experiments, and I'm 7, 8, 9 years old. I'm like, why is this lady so mad at the grocery store, you know? And then why are these dudes outside just waiting for a problem or waiting to beat up somebody? I was like, why is everybody so close to just saying, forget it, I'm about to go there? And I started to realize that, it's because they're not living out their dreams. So instead of judging them, I started to put a responsibility on myself to make sure I gave myself the best chance to live out my dreams. And that kind of kept me in a better spirit than I would say my peers. And it also kept me more ambitious than my peers. I didn't complain. I didn't look at the circumstances and say, we don't have it as good as them over there. Because I started competing against myself. And once that happened, I had a different trajectory than everybody else. It wasn't like I was special. I wasn't that kid. I wasn't the kid like, oh my God, look at Marcellus. It was just, I stayed to myself. I stayed within myself, and I just kept building myself up and competing against myself. And then you finally look up. If you keep getting wins against yourself, you'll find yourself exactly where you want to be. And that was my journey, a late bloomer, a guy who just stayed the course and stayed disciplined on it. So I dealt with so much adversity growing up. We were poor. We were on welfare, food stamps. We got paid 3 times a month, man. The 1st, the 3rd, and the 15th. The government shook up the neighborhood and they're like, here you go. Here's your stimulus check, right? And I just remember never feeling poor, even though I knew I was poor, because I was full of love. My family was there, my mom and dad in the house, raising me, making sure I kept my balance, kept myself focused. And when I went outside, I felt more love on the inside, me personally, more love on the inside my home. So I didn't get challenged by that gang culture. I didn't get challenged by the drug dealer. I didn't get enticed by the dude who looked fresh to everybody else. I was like, I saw you running from some pain. Maybe you're running from something more so than acting like where you are is the best place. So I dealt with a lot of burn moments, man, growing up. You name it, yeah. You name it, yeah. I've been shot at. Not me personally, but bullets going by me, so it could have been for me. The navigation was real, man. I'm from Compton before NWA, before the movies, before the songs. So everything you heard about, I had to live through, and it was real.
So you obviously grew up in tough parts of town. Did they ever try to mess with you, the gangs and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did, and I got bullied when I was in the third grade. I think it was third grade. These gangsters. My sister beat up some girl in school for good reasons, too. She was trying to mess with me. And my sister was my protector, right? I never had to fight because I had an older sister that would whoop your ass. And she beat up this girl. This girl tried to cut me in line. I didn't care about it. I moved on. I'm not a fighter. My sister is. She's like, you better not cut my brother. And the girl started talking back. Next thing you know, whop, whop, whop. My sister got hands. She put hands on the girl. And I thought that was the end of it, right? Like, you were in the wrong. My sister was in the wrong for taking it to that level. But hey, let bygones be bygones. That girl that got beat up had gangster brothers and uncles, right, in our neighborhood.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, the next day it felt like we're walking home and you see two older dudes at the corner just looking at us. And I was like, oh, this ain't going to be cool. This ain't it. And we tried to walk by him. Actually, my sister tried to walk by him because she's the fighter. I'm the one that they called the punk. I wanted to run by him. Like, I know where I live. I'm out, right? But my sister had to play it cool, and they just came up to us and started beating us up. And I thought that was the end of it, right? Oh, no. Next day, they're there again. And now I have a dilemma. Do I tell my teachers? Do I tell my parents? Do I tell my family that was in the street life and gangsters too? And then it's going to just all of a sudden ratchet up, and I don't want that. And I'm like, let's just walk home tomorrow. Maybe they won't be there. They were there, it felt like, for weeks. Every day just beating us up. And then finally I go to my grandmother's house, and she knows me, and she knows how to push my buttons, and she saw me leaking. She saw me not in my same high level of energy and spirit, and she's like, everything okay? And I just broke down and told her what was happening. And she was like, oh. And now this is my grandmother, so her sons are the street dudes, right? Let's just say the next day I got to school and we were leaving school, didn't see those gangsters anymore. So you put two and two together. And that was one of the episodes for me growing up, like, man, because they could have went obviously wrong in so many ways. They could have really beat us up to the point where we were harmed beyond just the emotional harm, I think. It was, the bullying wasn't so bad physically. It was emotionally. It was just terrifying every day to go home. It could have got worse. Those two gangsters could have got into it with my uncles and all that, and it could have escalated. So that was just one of the burn moments, man, and I probably have 5 million more.
Yeah, that's a blessing you did tell your grandmother, though.
Yeah.
How old were you and your sister when this happened?
I felt like I was 8, you know. And
so you're young.
Yeah. And, you're not thinking properly, even though you think you are. You can't make those type of decisions, and when you hear about bullying, it's a real thing, and it can affect everybody differently. I didn't go to a dark place mentally, thankfully. I just was scared. I was just scared. I was scared of my own. I was scared of my neighborhood. I was scared of my own street. I was scared to just go to school and come back. And I guess it built up in a weird way some of my determination. Like, we didn't change routes. We didn't go a different way. We didn't, quote unquote, tap out, even though now looking back, I should have said something the first day, right? Mm-hmm. And it just built up a determination that, okay, I can't let somebody else take me off course no matter what they have in store for me.
Mm-hmm. Go.
I was about to say, I feel like you kind of found yourself during that time. And you talked about, I was actually reading your book, and your grandma made you take out the piece of paper and you'd write down like who you are, what you're worth. And she said, if anyone doesn't call you, or what she said, if anyone doesn't call you by these names, don't listen to them.
Yeah,
so
man.
do you think is that kind of where it started for you to just be like, no one's gonna affect my life. I have like plans for myself. Say
it again, man. It was a huge time in my life. Blessing in disguise, if you could say that, was that. Let's talk about it. So I'm getting beat up, and my grandmother's like, all right, baby, we got to figure out who you are and your identity. I'm like, what? She said, go grab a piece of paper. And I learned through this lesson, identity is not just who you are, but who you are not. And I found out who I wasn't, and I wasn't gangster. And I wasn't going to be a drug dealer, and I wasn't going to be a thug. I wasn't going to be any of the things that some people were whispering or yelling that I should have been, right? So I grabbed this piece of paper. She says, write your name on top. And I was, all right, Marcellus Wiley. And then she says, okay, write down 3 things that you are. I said, okay, I'm athletic. She said, why are you athletic? I was like, because I could beat everybody running my age and people older than me too. She said, all right, write down athletic. She's like, what's next? I said, I'm smart. She said, why are you smart? I said, I get all A's, Grandma, and I love to go to school. She said, all right, you're smart. She said, one more thing. And this one stuck me. And I was like, And I said, okay, I'm nice. She said, why are you nice? I was like, because I like everybody. Even those dudes that beat us up, I like them too. And she was like, all right, so you're Marcellus Wiley. You're smart, you're athletic, and you're nice. Okay, I want you to put that piece of paper under your bed. And if anybody calls you by any of those things on there, your name, you're smart, athletic, and nice, you can listen to them. If they call you anything else outside of that, a punk, sissy, all these kind of things that they were trying to bully me with, don't listen to them, baby. And literally, I swear, in my head, a railroad track appeared. It felt like this is the way to go. And if you didn't encourage me, support me, say things like that, I just knew I was still going to go this way. And I saw you over there, but I wasn't slowing down and stopping for you. And I think for kids today, they really need to do a lesson just as simple as that. Find out who they are, know their identity. And it's not like you got to have the answer. You got to know more who you're not than who you are. And in that moment, I knew I was 3 things, and I knew I wasn't a lot of other things.
Burn moment right there.
Boom.
That's crazy. If you don't write those 3 things down, do you think your life would be completely different?
Absolutely. I'm gangbanging. I'm shooting at people. Let me stop. Where you from, cuz? No. Yeah, of course. Like all these things add up to the gumbo of who you are. You just put them into the pot and keep mixing them up. And it's funny, like, that all the ingredients individually are not always the best of ingredients. Like, getting bullied is not a good ingredient. Just like if you're baking a cake, you ever taste flour by itself? Not good, right? But damn it, it sure turns into something that's good, right? Exactly. And that's what I use. I use all of the negativity and all of the bad issues that occurred in my life, and I just put them in a pot. And I always thought of them like flour. I always thought of them. It's not always going to be sugar, but it can come out sweet. So when something came towards me, I had to battle. I just had to challenge myself to win that battle. And I'm very competitive in the sense of making sure I don't succumb to circumstances, making sure that no matter what comes my way, that my desires have to be victorious. So I had a different mindset than a lot of my friends who would get beat up by their own thoughts, beat up by the circumstances, beat up by the adversity around us. And I just didn't want that to happen to me because I seen so many talented people that didn't live up to their own dreams and expectations. I was like, you got one life to live. Why not go out swinging? And to this day, man, I'm just the guy that's going to always see something. Okay, that's the defense. That's what I have to go against. All right, that's the opponent. All right, it's time. Give me the rock. I'm going to score. Maybe not on first down. Maybe not second down. Maybe not this possession. But it's going to be a long game. It's going to be a marathon. And certainly I'm going to get on some points on the scoreboard.
Yes, sir. You just said beginning and burn. Mm-hmm. Crazy beginning from your sister beating up people to you guys being borderline almost killed by people fighting you. But it's time to go to you and burn. Unfortunate. Like myself, I had an unfortunate experience with my teacher doing a science experiment and 50% chance of surviving. I mean, she completely flat out messed up, had no idea what she was doing, and changed my life forever after that point. But I'm sure you playing in the NFL or even growing up in those tough areas, there has to be so many unfortunate moments that happened that got you to where you're at today.
Yeah, the first one that jumps in my head is my best friend, I was 11 years old, and we had an apartment building kind of facing each other, and he lived right across from me, and we played every day, Hot Wheels, riding our bikes. I had a Huffy. He had a Mongoose, so that's a better bike. But
I don't know those.
Yeah, right. Old school, dude. You have no idea. They don't make them anymore. And he was just my best friend, but more, he was an angel on earth. Like, I don't remember one time this guy being mean or selfish. Like, we playing Hot Wheels. You know, I have kids now. Give them one car. They are fighting over that car. Give them 2 cars. They're fighting over those 2 cars instead of sharing. You have one, I have one, right? He always was giving of his things to me. He was just an angel on earth. I don't remember one bad thing about him. And then one day, it was like a Friday, and he was supposed to come back. We were supposed to race our bikes as soon as he got home from school, as soon as I got home from school. And this time, he's taking longer and longer and longer. And I'm like, he's supposed to be home by now, right? And all of a sudden, we have someone at the door telling us that Corby had been hit by a car, and we had to go to the hospital. And at that age, I didn't think it was something that was fatal. I didn't think it was that bad. Getting hit by a car on your bike, I was like, oh man, he's in the hospital, broken arm, broken leg. I was assuming that. But obviously it was much worse than that. I get to the hospital, and his family's there, I'm there. I'm his best friend. And I remember the doctors vividly telling me I couldn't see him. And I was like, why? And they was like, because you're not family. And I couldn't reconcile that. I was like, okay, I'm not family, but I'm closer than maybe 3 other people in his world, like his parents and his sister or something like that. I'm family. And they said, no, you can't see him. And I'm sitting there just shocked. I was like, wow. So I don't know how he is, and I can't visually see him. And one doctor tapped me on the shoulder a few minutes later. He's like, come here. He said, your friend's about to leave here, and I want you to see him on the helicopter. And I was like, oh, okay. And he took me to a window, and they rolled him out. And I saw him laying there with the bandages around him and the red blood stain. And that was the last time I saw him. And the craziest thing was, like, it wasn't that I knew that he was dead, because he was still alive at that time. He passed away the next day. And the craziest thing was I wasn't allowed to say goodbye. And that's the lasting image I have of my best friend. And the next day I had a track meet. And this is how I was able to compartmentalize and how able to still push through that railroad, right? I'm still on the tracks no matter what's coming my way. And I did well at the track meet, won all my races. I was really fast at the time, so it didn't disturb me that way. And someone walked up to me. It was like, you okay? Because, you know, you're winning your races. Everybody from the outside doesn't know what's going on. They're like, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And someone ran up and said, nah, his best friend got hit by a car. He's not okay. Then I get the news he passed away. From that moment on, I've had this weird relationship with, like, the deepest parts of love. I've always wanted to go all the way in, dive into the deep end of just loving everyone. But I've always been challenged because it can end like that. So what I've learned from that moment is, obviously, you got to pour yourself into everything, no matter what, even if it's taken away from you, right? Don't be scared to be disappointed. Don't be scared to lose. But I also am always affected by the fact that it could be here today and gone tomorrow. And I literally had to live that out while I was trying to figure out who I was in this world. So that is an unfortunate incident, but it's given me such resolve, such character, that I like lived through that moment. I lived through that legacy.
It makes you just appreciate life more to the fullest and just treat every day like it's your last.
Yeah, every day, every moment. Like, not even cliche, like for real.
Yeah,
like, I am still a guy who's, when I leave the house, I'm like, I kiss my kids, I kiss my wife. And I don't know if everyone's like this, but I am actually mindful that may be my last kiss. Yeah. And it feels like, oh man, that is negative. It feels like, oh man, that's damaging. But in reality, it gives me such appreciation to not take anything for granted. And I got all that from that moment.
It's crazy. I was gonna say it's crazy because life could be going so good for you, and you're like, wow, like I'm living it, and then just one day it's gone forever, and just like how I said earlier, it makes you appreciate life more to the fullest.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, with myself, whenever I thought I was gonna be a professional golfer, and like I was playing and practicing so hard, and then just one day it's done, and I can't even go out in the sun for a year because with a burn, because like the swelling is so bad, and like the surgeries and stuff, and they wrap me up, and I can't go into the sun for a year because they don't want me to get skin cancer, and like that can lead to other stuff, and it's just like, you know what? I will appreciate the small things in life.
Say it again, man. I always tell my kids that I coach right now, I say, if you want to do it big, do all the little things, you know? And if you want to have this big life and big goals accomplished, you got to do all the little things, including appreciate all those little things. Just don't take them for granted. And I've learned that. And football taught me so much. That moment taught me so much. Like, you could be the man this year. Mess around and just think that you're that guy forever instead of like always trying to work on who that is and trying to improve. It'll be taken away from you like that. You could be the man on this play. Oh, my God, look at that sack. Oh, my God, he got Tom Brady. And the next play, you get pancaked. You know what I mean? Like, God dang, what just happened that fast?
I just got humbled.
Right, exactly. And I swear life is just like that balancing act. It's that seesaw. And I always try to make sure I appreciate it.
I feel like you need those experiences, though, to really appreciate it. Like, if you don't have any of these, like, losses or tragic events in your life, you really don't see that life can literally be taken just like that.
Yeah, I wish, man. I wish I lived that fairy tale, and I wish somebody can to tell me that I'm wrong. But yeah, you're right. You got to go through the roller coaster ride to really enjoy this thing.
And
right?
It makes you stronger as a person.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's, whew. I mean, you just remember all the people that have tried to do the same thing you have, especially football. It's kind of easy to quantify it. You know that they only draft, 200, 300 guys every year, and you know there are 1 million plus football players in high school. You can just drive down one city block and see 2, 3 different schools practicing at the same time. That's already enough for the entire draft. And you're like, that's just one block in one city. And you just realize that, wow, you accomplished what so many people have raised their hand to try and do. And I use that more than just a pat on the back and a stroke of the ego, but like, wow, you can make your dreams a reality no matter what they are, no matter what adversity you face. Because my road wasn't smooth and it wasn't paved. I had to grind, I had to compete, I had to work, I had to persevere. But you can overcome it no matter what those obstacles are.
I feel like people, like you talk about the railroad track and the train, and you always said like, no matter what, you kept going, like you just passed by them. But I feel like so many times their train derails because of these moments like, oh, you know what, I'm not good enough. I can't be that person. But you always just got to keep going, man.
Yeah.
You really do.
You really do. You know, I heard someone say this. He said, your thoughts are not you. You are your thoughts. And it made me think like, wow. Because just imagine what you just said lived out. It's like you get into a thought chamber about who you are, right? And you start to tell yourself either great things or bad things. And since no one is there to check it, and if you don't have that internal fortitude and you don't have that inner discipline, it will go unchecked, right? So the ego, like, I'm killing them out here. Every time I go out there, I get a sack. Every time I'm out there, I'm the man. You can get out of control with that. Next thing you know, maybe you're not working as hard. Maybe you think it's just going to come to you. Or the opposite, which we call, doubt. And you all of a sudden start telling yourself bad things. Oh, man, I'm not feeling good. Oh, man, this dude just blocked me. Oh, man, we're down 10 points. And next thing you know, you're spiraling out of control towards the negative. So it's always that balancing act between like chaos and order. And you just got to make sure that you keep that proper balance. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Stay even keel with this.
This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you. How did you keep it? Like, I mean, because you talk about you're playing in the NFL, like the pressure and all the little voices in your head. Oh, you're not good enough, like stuff like that. How did you battle through those?
Yeah, I always keep like the end in mind in terms of what do I really want out of this. So you go into every game, you want to win the game and you want to play well, right? And I always keep that in mind because I know that's going to get challenged. I don't once again, I always build in the difficulties of every equation before I even go on that journey. And if you don't, you'll be surprised. And then all of a sudden you're not prepared because you're surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. Like, when you think you're going to walk out there and score every time you get the ball, like, and I use that as a microcosm of life. Like, okay, I want to have a podcast. Well, first you got to find the proper team. And then I'll say, okay, I got the proper team, but one person maybe not fitting in like everyone else. Okay, we got to get our equipment. Maybe one of these cameras or mics is not exactly perfect, right? You just got to keep going at it. And I think in this world, we're told that the most successful people are the most talented or the ones that work the hardest. And I always challenge that. I'm like, nah, it's the ones that persevere. It's the one that gets up one more time, who doesn't lose enthusiasm between his losses, right? And that's what it's about. Like, no matter what I'm trying to achieve, if it's my greater passion and a goal of mine, can't give up on it. That's it. And so I think what I've done is endured more than my friends and my peers, the ones that found themselves challenged and didn't attain their dreams. It wasn't like I was better. It wasn't like I was smarter, more athletic. Dude, I can list 10 dudes right now that were better than me in football growing up. States Bozeman is number one always. Got to get his name out there. This dude is the best athlete I've ever seen, but he didn't play pro. He played basketball. He chose that. Number one in high school in football and number two in high school in basketball. He was insane. But it's about perseverance because he had more talent than me. It's about just continuing on that path. So what I always remembered was, don't get off. And if you get derailed, get back on, Fix that damn train and get back on the tracks. And that's all you have to do. So it's just a lot of internal work that needs to happen before you could ever make anything happen on the outside.
And it's the one who wants it the more.
Yeah.
Or who wants it more. And
well, I can't even say that. You know why? I have lost many of battles, whether it's in sports or in life, wanting it more than I'm sure somebody else. Like, it's not cliche. It's just something that you think is a part of the ultimate success. It's like you want it more. Two teams in a championship game want it both the most. Like, I want it, you want it. But one is more prepared for the obstacles. One has a better plan B. Because when you get in high stakes poker in life, no matter what it is, you got to go to plan B. Because I'm going to take away your strength. I'm going to take away the best thing you do, right? Now what are you going to do? And if you haven't prepared for that moment, or you can't react in the moment and keep yourself going, you lose. But it's not because you don't want it. It's because in this moment, you probably weren't prepared for this pivot.
Yeah. You didn't do the little things.
Yeah, little things. Including, all right, I'll give you a simple example. You write a paper. You got to turn in a 5-page paper tomorrow. Priest, all right. Priest gonna wait to the last moment to do it. Just like all of us, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna get it done. You don't get anything done until there's a deadline, right? And then you're doing it. And this is what I learned the hard way. Write that paper and you're struggling like at 4.5 pages, like, damn it, I gotta fluff this. Yes, I gotta get to 5, right? I got to 5. Whew. All right. And I used to do this. Then I turn in the paper the next day. Did I proofread it? No. Did I take time away from it? Put the paper down, go away, come back. Let me check for it. And when I finally got challenged by my teachers, like, proofread it, Marcellus, the content's amazing, but I could tell you just rush through it. And they said, take time away from it, look at it, spin it, turn it around, and then challenge yourself to read it again. And when I started doing that, I would find my own mistakes before I even turned it in so she can find my mistakes. How many times in life is there a task for you that all you do is just do it? Or you just walk into it, rush, wait for the end, wait right before it's due and just do it. And if you just challenge yourself to say, wait a minute, my goal is this. I got to continue always to look at it and proofread it and correct it. Then you'll find yourself in a better place. You'll turn in better work. That doesn't mean you got better. You're not a better student for that. You're just a smarter student who's making sure he's taking care of himself.
Yeah, the little things will really get you to where you are today. But that's going to do it for you. Unfortunate, losing your best friend. Like I couldn't even imagine. We went through tragedy ourselves, but like actually losing a life, that's got to be hard. But I feel like that burn moment really got you to where you are today.
Yeah.
But we got to move on to R. R stands for ridiculous. So 10 seasons in the NFL.
He chuckled.
That part. How ridiculous do you want to get, brother?
All the way. Turn it up to 10. But
Oh, man.
I mean, all the traveling, all the fans, all the pictures, all the photos, like, were there any ridiculous burn moments that you could share with us?
Yeah, let me start with the first one. Okay, so I grew up, I'm a John Elway fan. You guys heard of him? Right? Okay, good.
yeah.
Of course.
I'm
Growing
not
up
that
in
old.
Colorado.
Yeah, grew up in
There it
Colorado,
is.
yeah.
Boom. Oh, man. Talking about the man. That's the governor, if not the mayor of Denver for sure. John Elway, Eric Dickerson. I was a running back, so yeah. I thought I was going to be Eric Dickerson, and I'm fast and tall and skinny at that time. So I wanted to be John Elway because he could just throw the ball end zone to end zone. I was like, oh, I love this dude. I remember coming home, like, it felt like 11th grade. Mom, can I get a John Elway jersey? What? And I was like, damn. Every time I heard that quick what, that means don't even try. But I was like, all right, mama, can I get the John Elway jersey? How much? And I was like, I think it was like $60 at Foot Locker or something. She's like, hell no. And I was like, all right, kind of knew that was coming. I could tell by your what. So just move on. It's another thing I can't get. Whatever. I wasn't that kid. So there are kids in that moment that all of a sudden they get thirsty. I got to have that jersey, right? So some of them in a good way, they go start selling lemonade or candy or whatever it may be, right? To get the money to do it. I wasn't that kid. I ain't give a damn that much. There are some kids that actually do some bad things to go get that money, right? Yeah, uncle, come here. How can I get $60? Oh, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up, nephew. And steal it or whatever, right? I wasn't that kid. I was this kid. Okay, I tuck it away. One day I'm gonna become somebody, and mama, I'll buy my own damn jersey, right? And that somebody turned into an NFL rookie. First game ever in the NFL. Buffalo Bills, the team I was drafted to, traveling to Denver, Mile High Stadium, right? Get off the plane, I'm like, wow, this is real. I can't breathe. It's high altitude.
It's awful.
The headaches.
Yo, I was like, I thought it was just like some folklore or some fable. I was like, how am I gonna play tomorrow? I was like, all right, we figure it out. Get on the field, and we're warming up. So if you visualize a football field, one team has that 50 and the other team has this 50, and our backs are to each other, right? So I'm not starting. I'm a rookie, and I'm watching Bruce Smith, and I'm watching our defense go out there. And I'm like at the 50-yard line, and I'm like, you know what you should do? Turn around and look at them. And it really was just to find John Elway. Like, where's John Elway right now? Like, you're on the field with John Elway. Find John Elway. Now, you got to have this fake focus a lot of times in sports, right? The guys on the bench got to be like, yeah. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Really, they in their head like, yo, you see that girl on the third row, man? What's up? What it do? Ooh. Right? You got to fake focus. If not, coach is going to check the film and look at you. You not into it? So I'm like fake focus watching Bruce. Ooh, good move. Okay. Where's John Elway? Let me turn around. So I'm imagining when I turn around, he's going to be somewhere way away, and I'm just going to have this moment and be like, wow, that was dope. Didn't happen that way. I turn around, and guess who's 3 feet, if not closer, to me? 7, Elway. And I was like, ah. And it wasn't a Foot Locker jersey. This was the real one, mama. Yeah, take that. And I was like, that is the John Elway right there. Play the game, I ain't touch him, I ain't sack him, I ain't do a damn thing. That was as close as I got to John Elway in pregame, because during the game, I didn't do a damn thing. But I say that because that's ridiculous. Like, I used to be the kid throwing a football up at the ceiling, the popcorn ceiling in our apartment, so it was snowfall every time, right? Yeah. And I used to just dream about making it. My dream was twofold: become a school teacher or NFL football player. And I used to just dream about it. And then obviously my dreams were focused on being John Elway or being Eric Dickerson. And then the first NFL experience and moment I have is being on the field with my actual dream, my favorite player. So I tell that story to everyone because I want them to realize how ridiculous a dream may sound, may feel in the moment, but how real it can become.
Yeah, that's super cool. growing up, going into football, like, was the NFL the ultimate goal, or was it just kind of a thing that kind of like grew and grew and grew, and you're like, oh, hold up, maybe I can make it?
Yeah, I would say the latter. I wasn't like the stereotype, like, in the hood, everybody want to go to the league. I was like, and in part because everybody wanted to go to the league. I was like, well, if all y'all want to go, somebody ain't. Like, let me prepare for just in case. So I always wanted a high safety net. I knew too many good football players, better than me, who didn't make it. So I wasn't foolish enough to just put all my eggs in that basket. So I always had that balancing act. I always took care of my school and my studies and made sure I was challenging myself as much academically as I was athletically. So I never got out of balance, like, oh my God, I'm the man in football, forget school. I was like, nope, can't forget school. And when I had the opportunity to choose colleges, I had a lot of football factories after me, right? Then I had Columbia after me as well. And certainly choosing Columbia wasn't the best thing for my NFL career if I was going to make it to the NFL. But I wanted that high safety net. I didn't want to go back to the neighborhood saying, oh, man, you know what happened? I didn't want that. And I'd seen it time and time again. You're an injury away, right? I lost my best friend like that. So I'm a guy that knows any given Sunday it can go away for you, right? So I just gave myself the best reputation in terms of academics and athletics. But I wanted to go to the league, but I wasn't stupid enough to think that it was going to actually happen.
But you led Columbia to its best record since 1945 at 8-2.
Say it again and say it louder for the camera. Look at the camera.
Led Columbia to its best record since 1945.
Damn. Yeah, man. That's love.
I couldn't imagine. How hard was it to balance like studies at Columbia and football? Like, that's gotta be tough.
Bruh, is there another word that's harder than tough? Like, it was hell.
Yeah.
Oh man, because they give you support. They just don't cut corners. They just don't give you like a lighter load because you're playing football. They didn't care. They're like, you're gonna play football, 100%. You're gonna be a student at Columbia, 100%. So you have 200%. Not like some of the football factories. I hear stories of guys who actually got a little lighter load academically. Oh, you know he has a game. Oh, you know he has practice. Oh, you know he has to travel.
At Columbia?
Oh, no. That's the big schools. The big
I
schools.
imagine,
It's a little bit different in terms of the leveling. But Columbia, 100. We don't give a damn.
Yeah.
So it was really tough. The best part about Columbia was, one, people were as competitive in the classroom as I was used to people being competitive on the field. Like I knew a dude who would take a nap before every class, right? He would take a nap, wake up, put on a suit, and go to class. I was like, where you going? After class. He's like, what do you mean? I'm going back home. Probably go to study and sleep again, right? All he did was get ready. He got geared up. He got geeked up for class. I'm like, what is this dude? And that was just the norm. Guys that were really challenging themselves to just be great students. And the other thing that I loved about Columbia was no one was thinking to use their body to make it. And I loved that because it was refreshing. Like no one was thinking that, oh man, I'm gonna play sports, and then it was all between the ears. I know I'm gonna make it. I know I'm gonna climb this mountain, and there are a lot of different paths, but I'm gonna use my brain over my body. And that was just good to see because everywhere growing up, it was just the opposite. It was just a flip.
What was the burn moment choosing Columbia over going to these top schools you had?
It was tough. It was challenging because my friends didn't support it. And, I'm 17 at the time, so you can act like your friends don't matter in their opinions, but it does, right?
Yeah.
So the toughest part was actually just locking in. My mom didn't even want me to go to Columbia. She was like, that's too damn far.
Really?
I was like, Mommy, do you have any other reasons? She was like, no, that's it. It's just too far. And I was like, it's a great school. She didn't even want to go there. So that was challenging. What else was challenging was the fact that my friends kept clowning me like, oh, you ain't going pro now. Damn, you going to that sorry-ass football school. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I could be a big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
Man, whatever. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I could make it. They're like, dude, where are you going to school? And I had one friend, this was the funniest. I was like, I'm thinking about going to Columbia. He's like, you're going to school in South America? I was like, oh, my God. I was like,
That's something I would say. That is something I would say.
That is something he would say.
So,
you'd be like, where?
Yeah, man. What made me make the decision was simple. I told my guidance counselor at the time, all the schools that were interested in me, And she was like, yes, 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 yes. Oh, that's amazing, great experience. Oh, go Marcellus, go. And then I mentioned Columbia, and she said, and her reaction was different. And she said, Marcellus, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but go to Columbia. And I was like, really? And I was like, why? She's like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but it's gonna really help you out in the long run. So it was an easy decision for me. Once I kind of put everything together, stop being a 17-year-old and start being the 30 to 40-year-old which diploma did I want hanging up, and what gave me an opportunity to still go and live out my dreams and make it to the NFL. And Columbia, even though it was tougher, still gave me that opportunity.
Yeah. There was a quote in your book that you talked about how when you were younger, you went into the kitchen and your mom was on your phone, and then you go to your sister, she was on the phone, and you talked about how everyone around you was a talker and you didn't want to be a talker. So where did that mentality kind of come from?
Yeah, man. I still am like post-traumatic stress when I see somebody on the phone around me. And it's the worst. And I shouldn't be this way. I need to get healed. I need healing in this. Because my family was like, they get off work, come home from school, and they just jump on the phone and talk about their day. And I'm like, all right, talk about your goals, talk about your dreams, talk about something else. They just gossiping. Did you see Louise? What's she wearing this? I'm like, all right, anything else? And they were like just gossiping. And I was like, man, come on, get off the phone. Let's do something. Not talk about it, be about it. And I used to just judge. And I use the phone kind of like something that tells me, don't just talk. Don't just be about talk. You know, a lot of times you can waste your 24 hours in a day laterally because you're just planning. You're just talking about it. You're just talking about people, right? Instead of talking about what you really want. Where are your goals? What are your greatest ambitions? So I hated that growing up, and it really challenged me to not be just a talker. Then I literally have a career in talking.
No, that's all we do too.
But yeah, man, it was just funny. I really misjudged a lot of my family because they just wanted to release from the day and just be normal, right? Socialize. And I was sitting there like game planning every time. No. Not time for us to be sitting here fluffing and talking about Luis's dress. It's time for us to just game plan. How we get out the hood? Yeah. And I guess I was the mad scientist that had to come up with that game plan.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right, Marcellus, we've been on R. It's time to go to N and
yes.
burn. Mm-hmm. It's 2 parts, now and next. Are there any burn moments now, or are there any burn moments coming up?
Well, there's a burn moment now. Leaving Fox, I think, is a burn moment for me and a lot of people. And I can't ever pay it justice in terms of articulating why, because there are so many reasons, so many levels and layers to it. But in short, I've always chased my goals and my dreams, right? And my goal in life and dream in life wasn't to talk sports surface level, you know? It wasn't just to be an ice skater in sports. Like, okay, Dak Prescott, okay, Cowboys, okay, yeah. LeBron, or who's gonna win?
Just like the headlines.
Yeah, and just results. Like who's the better? Who's better? Who's the GOAT? And like I was like, your story, our story, the process. How do you get to become that person that we're talking about just on the surface level? I was much more invested in that. That was who I was. Remember, I'm a football player or a school teacher. So I love to grab a person at the fork in their road and help them out and talk through that and go through that process with them. So after being in the business for 20 years and then just realizing I was going to just do more of the same, I was like, it's time to go chase your dreams and really challenge yourself to do it. Now, the tough thing is, you get paid a lot of money to be up in there. Like, it's cake, y'all. Yeah. It was fluffy. But someone told me in the process when I was really like, I'm going to bet on myself and just do it my way, that they were like, okay, I'm glad that you're not going to stay in that velvet coffin, they call it. And I was like, velvet coffin? They was like, yeah. You're fluffed up. You're feeling good and comfortable and nice, but you're dead on the inside, right? You're not really loving that. And my friends, one by one, all of a sudden start popping up and telling me stories of when I first got into broadcasting that I told them I wanted to be Larry King. And I was like, really? And they were like, nah. And then they told me how you like want to be Dr. Phil. And I was like, really? I told all you guys all this during the road, but I just turned into like a baby version of Stephen A. I was like, which is no diss. It's just like, that ain't me. I wanted to do this, and I'm just getting fluffed up stuff like a turkey up here. And I was like, man, I got to chase my dreams, chase my goals. There are too many people to help, too many real conversations I think that are to be had with people that really want to have them. And I think even athletes want to have this discussion. And I know the audience is ripe for it. So the burn moment was that. The burn moment that's next is putting it all together, continue to talk through the podcast, original content in deeper form. And so far it's been so rewarding, not only in terms of fulfillment, but also in the returns. Like, wow, I'm gonna mess around and make more money doing this way. It's crazy, right?
And it's what you love. You're not just following this hamster wheel of talking about Lamar Jackson for the last 2 weeks, like stuff like that. It's like, come on, like tell it how it is. Tell us the stuff that we want to hear.
Yeah, for real. And it's funny because now, those are all my friends, and I watch them. And I'm sitting there just giggling on the inside. Like, trade deadline.
Franchise tag.
Yeah, and they have to do it, and I had to do it for 20 years. And now the same person or the same topic, I could take it wherever I want to. Yeah. And to me, that's so fulfilling.
Do you think a lot more people are going to kind of follow you and kind of venture off and do their own thing too? Or are they too stuffed as a turkey?
All right. That velvet coffin does feel good. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, they're going to follow me because I'm following someone else. I'm following the guys, Joe Rogan, Pat McAfee, et cetera. I'm watching those guys. And like I told you, I get jealous. And I love it because it just motivates me. I'm like, I'm not jealous and like, I'm going to pull you down. I'm jealous like, I got to get up there, right? I'm like, I got to get there.
Yeah.
And I'm so competitive that I won't stop until I get there. And I'm like, issuing that challenge to everybody. Come get it. I used to speak at panels all the time, and cats wanted to be me, they said. They were like, I want to be a sports reporter. I want to be a broadcaster. And I used to always give them as much information and as many jewels as I could. And I said, and I would always end like this. Now, go out there and come take my job. Like, I want you to come get this, because guess what? I'm coming to get that.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do. And it's so fun. I go downstairs in my home in my basement. Not even half of this. I'm still jealous of you guys. But I go in my home studio and I just plow out work.
Yeah.
And it's just, I would do it 25 hours a day. Like, the day's not long enough. I just love doing it. And then just chasing these kids around, man, being a coach and being a chauffeur.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you got the little youngins trying to follow your footsteps.
Yeah, man. A 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then my daughter that's 24. She's at Columbia grad school, graduating in May.
Oh, wow.
Loving life, yeah.
Congrats to her.
Yeah, she's a beast. She's after it. She's such a good person. That's why I'm so proud of her. It's like, yeah, she's smart. Yeah, she's beautiful. She is. She's a great person. She's just a good person, high character, and I love that. Then the little ones, man, I'm going to just support them wherever they want to go. And so far, so special, especially my little boy. He loves football more than me, which is scary. And I'm like, it skipped a generation because my dad is that way. My dad loves football. My dad talks about football no matter what the conversation is. I'm like, Dad, I'm about to go on a podcast. Oh, yeah, it's a football podcast? No, the Burn Factory. Oh, okay, yeah. Are they talking about how you burned it up when you were playing? I was like, no, Daddy. Then after that, we're going to go to a comedy show. Oh, does he like football, the comedian? I was like, damn, Daddy. And so now my son has that bug. I didn't have that bug. I just was like, look, let me just try and do the best I can at whatever I do. So my son literally come in the house. Now, March. Daddy, is there any football on? I'm like, dude, what the hell wrong with you?
XFL.
Yeah, exactly. And he calls that preseason football. I was like, that's cold. Like, everything's not the NFL. He's like, Daddy, I want to watch more preseason. I was like, it's not preseason. It's XFL. So I just love it, man. It's fun every day. New challenges, new ways to do it.
Make sure they do what they love.
There it is. Now we talking, right?
Do simple things.
Yes. You want to do it big, you got to do the little things. Be greater than your greatest excuse. That's what I teach my kids. Damn it. I want to hear it.
Wait, what is it? Be greater than your greatest excuse.
Yeah, because we all got one.
I'm gonna go home and write that on my mirror.
Hey, see, there you go.
I can write it. I'll go write it in my notebook out there.
And proofread it.
That's a must. Well, Marcellus, you just spelled burn. Crazy, inspirational story. Very inspiring. From losing one of your best friends to pulling that deep dog out of you and just catapulting your life from there. And as a gift for coming on the podcast, we will be giving you the Burn Factory Black Label Edition hoodie.
Oh, look at me.
Keep in mind, only guests get these hoodies.
Sick. So they're going to know me in these streets.
Yes,
you've been on
of
Burn
course.
Factory, big dog.
We're giving you the Burn Factory Black Label
look at that.
Edition.
You know the color of the villains in black. I love this, man. The streets going to know I've been on the Burn
You're
Factory.
gonna have to wear that on your next podcast episode.
I will, too.
And then you'll send us some of your gear and we'll do the same.
What gear? I told you I'm jealous. No, man, I'll hook you guys up for sure. This is dope, man.
Tell the audience where they can find you, Instagram, your podcast. Give it all to them.
Yeah, I don't want y'all to find me for real. Like, don't come on my house. Like, chill out. No. You can find me, Marcellus Wiley, on all socials. And you can find me, man, everywhere you guys are looking in terms of sports content, life content, cultural content. Just trying to help people out, man. That's who I am. I'm built for that. So follow me on socials. You guys know I engage back. So I got my Kevin Durant burner accounts too. So, I'm the one that's like, Marcellus is amazing. Yeah. That's my burner accounts. And then my real accounts, I'm the one that actually answers all the questions from people. Just love life, man, and just trying to keep it going.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Marcellus. It was amazing being on the show. You're such an inspiration to us. And I'm going to go write that quote.
Yes, please, man.
Me too, and proofread it. That's what I needed to do. But you heard the man. Go give him some love. And always, please visit my foundation at priestjamesfoundation.org. Again, priestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory. We'll see you guys for the next episode.
Peace.
All right, guys. Marcellus Wiley, NFL player.
The champ is here!
I love it. The champ is here. He just felt burn. He just felt burn in his life, and he called himself the champ, so now he has to call out someone. Who are you calling out?
Oh, I'm calling you out. Balboa. No, let me stop. Terrell Owens, T.O., the best receiver ever played. The best receiver to ever play. T.O., get your butt on the Burn Factory. Stop playing with me, big dog.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
My boy Marcellus. Come on, T.O., let's go.
I know you want this belt. Come get it.
Tell me I can't fight. Where my sister at? I can't fight.
I love it. Come on the podcast. Let's go.
Let's do it, brother.